Welcome to the Inside Silverstone podcast, a business-focused podcast covering all things tech, engineering and innovation. Hosted by me, Chris Broome, a huge tech, motorsport and gaming fan, and also the owner of Longhurst, a firm of lifestyle financial planners and independent financial advisors located in Silverstone, Northamptonshire. This is a series of unscripted and unpolished conversations with leading business owners, thought leaders and high-tech talent where we discuss their experiences within the Silverstone business and motorsport region. We will also be asking them to share their knowledge, insight and their thoughts on the future just for you. If you're looking to learn more about the Silverstone high growth region and commercially connect with like-minded peers, you've definitely come to the right place. Welcome to Inside Silverstone.
Welcome to the next edition of Inside Silverstone. My name is Chris Broome and I am your host. Today I am delighted to welcome to the show Ian Cook from PopBangColour. Ian, welcome to the show.
Oh yeah, thank you very much for inviting me along.
Welcome. Ian, this is going to be a slightly different podcast. We were literally just talking 1 minute ago where I normally have much more structure to my podcast where we're interviewing business owners and professionals and accountants and bankers and people like that. And I thought actually, I've met you a couple of times at race meets and other events, and I thought we need to get Ian on the show. And the reason for that, dear listeners, is that Ian is actually an artist who has a very niche and specialist approach to being an artist, where instead of using typical paint brushes, he uses radio-controlled cars to do the art. Does that sound about right, Ian?
So yeah, radio control cars, tyres and wheels. That's how I create what I do. It's what I've been doing for 14 years. And yeah, so I create shows, events for brands with these actually. I've got one here. There we are. There's a.
Gosh, show us what you've got.
That's my favourite G-Wagon. That's a
G-Wagon covered in lots of paint. And so look, this is why. Why do you paint? First of all, why are you an artist? Or where does that come from?
Why am I an artist? It is a frequently asked question.
And
what do I do? I'm originally from Birmingham, so I can speak like this if you need me to.
Yeah, you can tell.
But I'm not. I'm actually I'm a fake from me actually, because I live in Coventry now, but I lived in Birmingham. I still live in Solihull, which isn't really Birmingham because it's somebody at Solihull and Birmingham who go, from Solihull, but Birmingham.
Who do you support? Does that have interest in?
I don't do football because all the Birmingham teams are terrible. Like growing up with Villa, Birmingham, Baggies, and Wolves. I mean, that is not like a hotbed of good teams to choose, really. And my dad's not into football. He's never been like, oh, we need to go down to see that. So it was always cars, really. So I lived in Birmingham, and then I school at Solihull. I then went to Sutton Coldfield College for college. So I did BTEC National Diploma in Illustration, which I then changed to fine art in the second year. So I did BTEC, but I also did a fine art element to it. And then I went down to Winchester, Winchester School of Art, where I lost my Brummie accent because I was told I can't speak like that around here, basically. So I then came back with this kind of nondescript accent from Winchester. That was 2004. I did bar work. I was barman for a couple of years. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that the kind of interactive customer side of it. So I ran a nightclub, which was fun because I needed some time out from art. Like when I finished my degree, I was just needed to enjoy so we did some bar work and restaurants. And then whilst in the bar, I was asked by a DJ to photograph because he knew I was an artist and whatever. So he asked me to photograph him at the decks. So this time there was no social media. There wasn't Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any of that. On my old DSLR, I took some photos. He really liked the images. Some really low. They were long exposure. And then he used that image as his CD cover. So I went to HMV and bought my own artwork off. I was like, well, this is cool. And then my boss at the restaurant was like, well, surely I think if you're passionate about that, you need to get back into your arts. And I was like, yeah, okay. So I then started to teach between 2005 and 7. 2005 and 7. I was then a teacher at the college that I used to go to in Sutton Coldfield. So did that. Enjoyed it, and then I started to be a full-time artist. I was always an artist, but be a full-time artist. So I quit my teaching job, much to my grand's like, what? You just left your job? I was like, yeah, I want to be an artist. Well, that's not a job. I was like, well, it looks like a job. Well, I left because I was commissioned by Reebok to create a giant portrait of Lewis Hamilton in 2008, which hung next to Tower Bridge. So the year that Hamilton won his world championship with McLaren, I was commissioned to paint a giant portrait of him for Reebok next to Tower Bridge, which is 12 metres by 8 metres. It hung next to Tower Bridge. Took a week to create in central London. Global project for Reebok. This is prior to... Facebook was around, but not big time. So it's before social media, really. And so I did this project, whirlwind of a project. Did it, went really well, and then I was able to go full time as an artist who paints with radio control cars. That's been my USP for.
What an amazing first project, though, right? Lewis Hamilton, commissioned by.
It was
by Reebok,
bizarre.
12 foot tall by London Bridge in central London.
Yep.
Ian Cook lands on the world stage.
It was bizarre. Like I think if I got it now, like I'd approach it completely differently. It would be I'd understand what corporate PR. I'd get it more. I'd be like, oh right. At that time, I didn't even know there was a corporate world out there. Like I didn't know that there was companies who go, okay, this is a thing, and we want this to achieve this, and this is the media exposure we're expecting. I was honestly, I was like what the phrase, like wet behind the ears. Like, I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll do this. Okay.
How would you have approached it differently though, just from a learning perspective? What would you?
I think I learned so much in the years I've done it. I think every project I do, I learn something new, or how to do it differently, or how I wouldn't do that again, or I'd do this or whatever. And that's how I think it was a perfect time. Like, I was looking to be a full-time artist. I mean, I enjoyed teaching. I learned a lot from teaching. When you've got 30 kids and you've got a classroom and you've got 3 hours and you've got to keep them on task, on point for 3 hours, it's hard. It's hard work. And I loved it. And I had some great students. I had some really good students. I had some terrible students as well who just didn't want to be there. But that's a school education environment where people that that age are still learning what you want to be. Like, you don't know if you're going to be an artist or whatever at the age of 18 or 16 or whatever. You might just be good at graffiti, and your mum and dad have said, like, you're good at graffiti, go and learn it. Go and learn some art. So yeah, I value my teaching time post uni, but I also value my uni time. Like, I loved uni. I loved what I did. Yes, car art kind of started there. PopBangColour, the name, started at uni. That was the name of my degree show. So right. PopBang is a friendly explosion of colour. That's where PopBangColour comes from. So the times I had, I value them in terms of what I've learned from it, and yeah. So you never know. Even in uncertain times like this, where I'd normally be in my studio working away, or it's a Thursday, so it would be getting ready. This weekend would have been the British Touring Car at Silverstone, so yep. It would have been like getting the van ready, getting artwork, talking to teams, who's going to commission, have I got all my prints ready, etc., etc. Yeah, it would. That's what time of year it is now for me. April, with this kind of.
So how's it work? Talk to us just from a business perspective. So you will go to a race meet, just so others understand and learn. So how you sort of operate, and even really to earn a living and build. So you would go to a race meet, where I've seen you at various race meets, and you would, prior to that, approach the teams and say, I'm going to be here. Who wants to commission one of their cars to be painted?
Yeah, so I mean, if you talking touring car, obviously their budgets are tight, smaller than F1 teams or brands or whatever. So you generally go, right, well, what car's new this season? What's livery has changed drastically from last season?
Yeah.
I'm luckily I've got a good relationship with Dynamics. I've got various teams, AMD. Sean's a lovely guy. He owns a couple of mine. The Motorbase, I know. I know the drivers like Turkington and Tom Ingram, and most of the drivers know me because they see me at events. And and it's nice when they come over and have a chat and whatever, because they're a person, I'm a person. Like,
but you're part of a community.
Yeah, and it's all part of that, and that it is a motorsport community. I mean that's why I live in Coventry. It is on the motorsports corridor. It's on that M40, M42 between Donington, Silverstone. Like I'm an hour away from most race circuits, an hour and a half, an hour. I mean, Thruxton obviously is a bit further. Brands is a bit further. Most race circuits, I'm in travelable distance. So going back to point. So generally I'll work with. I know the PR. Like Matt Salisbury, who does a lot of the PR for the teams, or Nick Bailey, who's another PR guy. I'll talk to them and go, like, should we do this? Should we get the story? Like, what should we select the images and then post them on socials and kind of get that people talking online. So when they're at the circuit, they go, "Oh yeah, I selected this image. I voted for this image to be done." So there's a sense of ownership from from people getting involved in that creation process, which I really enjoy. That's what there's an artwork produced which can be owned and can be on in a reception hallway and whatnot post event, but actually it's about the community that is motorsport, motorsport, and also I do a lot of stuff in the car, in the road car PR stuff. So
that's it. I mean, the first time I ever saw you and met you was, and we were just talking about this, was many years ago at Lamborghini in Birmingham. And so my next question was going to be, so presumably you also do car manufacturers. So car manufacturers will commission you, or dealerships will commission you for either a car launch or something quite quirky or unusual.
Yeah, I mean, so if say a dealer's got a new model coming out, I mean, a couple of years ago I did a lot of Volkswagen dealerships for some reason. Like, I just literally went round the country to different Volkswagen dealerships for the launch of different models, because they want something interesting. When you've got guests arriving for 2.5, 3 hours, you want to keep them entertained, and people love watching people do stuff. Like, it's you don't necessarily have to have like music or anything else. It's just people like to watch something going, oh, what's that? I'm intrigued. You also kind of play on the great British thing of queuing. Like, people, if somebody's queuing, somebody else will naturally,
Sure. Yeah.
I'm interested why they're stopped and looked.
Yeah, we're suckers for queuing, right?
Yeah. So it's kind of a mixture of things. And over the years, it's just got, my setup has got bigger. If I look at early photos and I'm just like a bit of plastic on the floors and paper and whatever. Now, obviously, I have a van full of stuff that I take to events. There's a lot of setup and preparation prior to any events. When they, obviously not at the moment because there is no events.
How many cars? So for I know how long's a piece of string sort of answer you're going to give me probably, but how many remote control cars and toy cars do you use on a typical piece of art? And I guess that's going to be dictated by the size of the art. But like, is it just one car, or do you have like a different ones that do different things when and give different effects when you're painting?
For like when I do manufacturer stuff, so that Lamborghini event, I know I only painted with Lamborghinis. Cool. So if I do a brand thing, then I'll go and they want it their thing, then I'll try and source the cars that relate to that brand. How do
you source the cars?
There's like RC suppliers. So either I go and do, like, some of the cars I get are literally from like TK Maxx, from just like, and I'll get a whole pile of RC cars and take them to the counter, and then the the person behind the scene will be like, "So who's the lucky boy then?" And I'm like, "Me."
Yeah.
And they're like, kind of go, "Huh?" You know. So yeah, so I mean, I'll go on a bit of a. Yeah, I know certain shops sell certain ones. I mean, Christmas is great for me because the cars are in. Yeah, there's a lot more choice because apparently people only buy RC cars at Christmas. Apparently, I mean,
yeah, by you,
by me. So yeah, so there's a lot more stock in at Christmas. You know, kind of start September time.
And what happens? What happens to a car when it served its purpose? Do you just bin them, or do you sell them off? What do you do with used cars?
More recently, I've been doing retired cars. So
Retired
people
cars.
then buy the car that I have used to paint with. So there's some brands, and because I sticker them up as well. So if I was working for Michelin last year at Goodwood, so all the Goodwood cars had Michelin and branding and Michelin fuzz all over them. So
nice.
So some of the cars, so you can tell when I've used the car at a certain event because sometimes they've got branding from a particular event. So so it's quite nice sometimes that you can then gift one back to the brand to say thank you very much for commissioning me. Here's one of the cars that was used to create your artworks. So I mean I was meaning to do it for years. I never had the time. And then so I went out to Japan in December and January for mine and Taz's honeymoon, which is amazing. If you get a chance to go to Japan. Wicked, bizarrely brilliant place. Like
the photos on Instagram look fantastic.
Utterly amazing, mind blown, amazing time. But we did we travelled around and when we came out, I was really inspired. I was like, right, I've got to do shows, I've got to do stuff, and so rather than being like, oh, I'm waiting for the race season, I was like, right, I'm going to make the most of this time between now and race season to just do stuff that I've always meaning to do. So I did the retired cars. I did a couple of solo shows as well, which worked out really well. So yeah, I mean, kind of glad I did now because obviously with everything that's happened since, I'm glad that I had some social content and some things done prior to lockdown, obviously.
And how are you feeling your time during lockdown? Because presumably you can't do a lot of painting because of space and your equipment presumably somewhere else. And so what's the situation today?
Yeah. So I mean, when it was announced, I was down the studio, so I was like, and it was like, right, okay, so Taz was like, right, you just got to get 2 cars down there, strip the studio, home. Just get as much as home as you can, whatever you think you might need to do. Because I've been self-employed. Like I've got a mortgage, I've got rent, I've got there's things that are going to go out. And also I'd go a bit loopy if I wasn't creating. Like I just honestly, there's only sometimes you can tidy a house, isn't there? or sort the garden out, or. Yeah. I mean, I think the cat's more annoyed than anything that she hasn't got her house. She's like, "Why are you still home?" Like
these damn humans are around too much.
What? Stop stroking me. I'm not interested. So we made sure we emptied the garage. So we emptied the garage and made it into like a messy area downstairs. And then upstairs, where I'm now, is like called the green room. This is where I do little drawings. So I've been doing So part of when we were travelling, we drew each day. Taz made sure we drew something. Didn't have to be cars. It could be a landscape. It could be somewhere we are. So it was just drawing wherever. And funny, whilst we're drawing, sometimes people would watch us draw because we'd just get the sketchbooks out and just start drawing. They were like, "Oh, yeah." You kind of go, "Oh, that's just what's going on here." So this.
Show us the Subaru.
So that was the first continuous card drawing. So
what's the continuous card drawing? Make that just so people understand.
Well, I've got a logo there. Look. So continuous card drawing. So basically, draw a car or a vehicle without taking the pen off the paper to create the image. So you draw the whole thing without taking the pen off. So that was the Subaru done in Mitaka, 6th of January this year. That was the first one, and then that was the second one, which got a bit more coloured in and looked a bit more like a Subaru.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Because it's blue and it's got gold wheels. There we are.
Standard.
and it says STI on it as well.
Yeah, WRX Blue, nice.
That's a beautiful 22. That was a pristine 22B.
I used to love Subarus. They're my favourite car when I was a teenager and young adult. Loved them.
Yeah. Well, that with a McRae name on the side of it.
Yeah.
Sorted.
Yeah.
In this sketchbook we had is just there's other things. So there's like a temple.
Nice.
We did quite a lot of drawings of just like drink because we were in bars and stuff.
Common
so that
theme.
So that was like a Kyoto bar. I did some like other things. So generally it didn't have to be cars.
And how's that continuous drawing evolved to present day? So what are you doing now?
What do now?
And on Facebook.
So lockdown was 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So by the Friday, I got everything sorted. Yeah, I got the garage sorted into a painting area, and I got the upstairs sorted into a drawing area. So kind of try. And we started to do some online sessions. So kids wanted to, online sessions for kids and whatever, just working out what we could do. So what I did on that Friday was I drew a Land Rover Defender, the new one.
Nice.
And that was done in I don't know, 15, 20, 25 minutes.
What do you think of that vehicle, just as out of interest?
I love it. I think it's great. I think it will forever be an icon as an old one, and it will be an icon as the new one. Yeah. It looks cool. I think any car that looks like Morgan three-wheeler, things that have got like an identity.
Yes.
Make such a change from generic car that are out there. Yeah. So I think it's great. I think I'll always have as an artwork, the first car I drew was as an artwork painting. First one was Huey Land Rover. So I'm always going to have a kind of a soft spot for the brand and Midland's brand, Jaguar Land Rover, and that my uncle's worked in the industry all his life. That's why I kind of got into cars. He was at one point he was a car designer. So when I was 15, I went to what was then Rover, had my work experience at Rover, and I got to see all the design studios. I got to see production. I got to see everything. I couldn't talk about it because I was under NDA. Yeah. So like my diary of what I did was like, can't talk about it. Can't talk about it. So that was the new Defender, and then right up to bang it today, that was the Golf Mark V that I did last night. These are all done to commission, so people, so I'm getting suggestions. And on Thursdays today, I do emergency service vehicles. Nice. So I've been working with the CMPG, the Central Motorways Police Group, who I've worked with before. You might have seen them at Autosport. They do a lot of the police. They do the public facing police awareness. So they got in touch because one of the officers is actually off at the moment because he very nearly got killed in an operation. So he emailed me to say, I'm seeing your drawings. Are you planning any emergency vehicles? And I said, yeah, we'll do it. Send over the images and I'll do CMPG, no problems. And then they tweeted it, and then every other police force then got involved. Like, we're talking around the UK they want their vehicles done. So that then led to people posting photos of old police cars, and which Ford have now got involved as well, Ford UK. JLR have got involved, and Morgan have got involved. So they've all got special vehicles that were done as police cars. Yeah. So some of the ones today are going to be the unique police vehicles, or emergency vehicles, and then we'll go and do some of the more like the ones that you see on the road as well. Yeah. So that'll be.
So people watching this now or listening to it, where can they watch you do this and see all of this take shape?
It's all done on socials. It's all done via my social channels. So PopBangColour on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and it'll be put onto YouTube as well. So it's PopBangColour, spelled the British way, not the American way. So it's got the U in it. So it's all done via there. It's live streamed. Sometimes the internet is a bit because everybody's trying to be on the internet at the same time. So, but generally, we succeed in streaming to Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, so that you can see an artwork being done, or if you're commissioning artwork, you can watch your own artwork being done as well.
And so can a member of the general public commission you? So if they said, look, I want you to draw, during coronavirus, draw my car, would you do that?
Yep. Yeah, and it's all going to go into a book. So, I mean, I've never published a book before. I thought, well, why not? Like, well, actually, my wife was like, you should really do this by a crowdfunder. And I was like, I don't know. So she set up the crowdfunder and was like, right, it's set up now, you just got to talk about it. So that's all. I just post the link and go, here it is. This is what we're planning.
The crowdfunder link presumably is in your social media feed, is it?
Yeah, it's all in my bio. So it's all in the Twitter bio, Instagram bio. I post it daily on my Facebook page as well. So it's just crowdfunder continuous -wheels. So the drawings are called continuous cars because that's what they started out as. But the book will be continuous wheels because we've also drawn tractors, vans. What else are we doing? Tractors, vans, ambulances, trucks. So it's not just cars. It's vehicles. So. But I like the idea.
I'm going to get you to do mine, 100%. So I think, and I will definitely buy the book because that'd be a great thing for us to leave in reception for when clients come in. It's something a bit different, right? Certainly because we're based on Silverstone circuit. So
absolutely. And Silverstone got involved as well. We've done some of the Silverstone cars already. Yeah. So the track day cars, they then shared it across to their Facebook page, which got a great reach on it. Yeah. So because I can't be at the circuit, I thought I'd do something with the circuit, and we might be doing some more Silverstone ones, so some of the iconic cars that have been on track, or some of the old school F1 stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So, like last year when Button was out in his Broome.
Yes.
So I've got an image of that, which I really want to do because I was setting up in one of the areas. I was setting up, putting my banners up, and I heard it. Like I was like, oh, it's Button, he's Brawn. I was like, oh, it's amazing. And because it was like you couldn't film, like it was like you can't film this. You can't have it. You can't post about what we're doing at the track. Yeah. So yes, there's an image of Button, he's Brawn. So I'll probably end up doing that at some point. I want the book to be not just road car. I want it to be race car. I want it to be off road. We've got a Unimog being done.
What about bikes, super bikes, stuff like that?
Yeah, done bikes as well. So we've done. Charlie Borman got involved and had his. So randomly, Charlie Borman was the first person who ever followed me on Instagram. So I wasn't using it, and he said to me at an event, a corporate event, 2011? No, must have been 10, 9? No. Anyways, a long time ago. And he was like, "Oh, you're on Instagram?" I said, I'd registered. I hadn't used it, but I'd registered. And it turns out I had 300 people following me before I'd even posted anything. And he said, "Oh, I'll follow you." And he got me into using Instagram.
Good.
And then I met him a couple of years ago. Again, I was painting for Infinity at a shopping centre, and he was going to the cinema, and he walked past. I was like, it's Charlie Borman. So yeah. So I've done his. It's quite nice to do. Yeah, I've done teams who have done. Oh, Parmax Racing I've done.
Yeah.
And Mahindra Formula E car. Yeah,
so we know the guys at OMG Racing, who are British super bikes. So we should connect you to them to see whether or not when the season's up and running, get involved with them. They've got a good looking bike for the coming season.
Yeah,
so
more than happy. There's about. We're up to 180. What is it? 88. So there's the plan is 300. So there's 122 more space. No, 112 more spaces. So
okay, cool. What about corporate events? So for businesses out there that are non-motorsport, non-car manufacturers. So my business, Longhurst, for example. So if I was hosting a client event or any type of social event, presumably could I commission you to come in for a couple of hours and paint?
Yeah, there's a number of things you can do. Like I said, so either you could have the artwork done prior and have it like the artwork revealed as part of the evening, and the bonus of having not bonus, but what you could is that you could have the artwork, all the artworks are scanned, documented, so that you can have prints. So you could have prints of the artwork that they see on the wall at the opening or whatever. Generally, it takes between 6 to 10 hours for me to create a painting. Obviously, the drawings I'm doing at the moment are much quicker. They're half an hour, done in front of you live, done. Whereas the paintings are a 6 to 10 hour creation period. So with dealerships and stuff, I've been there in the daytime creating, ready for the evening. So when you come in, you see an artwork is nearly finished. It's you can tell what it is, and it's not complete. So some people just want want to have the reproduction print, so you can then use it on stuff. You can use it on letterheads and corporate things. Some people want give away the original to a very good client. They can go, right, we've commissioned it for our OEM client or our person who really loves cars. This is their car, and we've commissioned it to then give it as a corporate gift.
Nice.
So I had that. One of the artworks sent out to America was done for one brand, but actually they gave it to Fiat Group. So it was kind of given to them on the stage as a thank you, because they're big things. They're big artworks. Essentially.
What's some quick fire questions actually? So what's the biggest piece of art you've painted? Was it the Lewis Hamilton one?
No, that's baby size in comparison. So I did the world's largest glow in the dark artwork for Nissan, which is the size of a three-story building. Sorry, that's Lewis's one. Sorry, the Nissan one was 217 square meters, which is half the size of an aircraft hangar, and that was the Guinness World Record. So we broke the world's record for the the world's largest glow in the dark artwork.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Half the size of an aircraft hangar.
Yeah, so it was actually the hangar that they used for filming Harry Potter in. So it was called the Black Hangar Studios, and all the green screen and all of that is where they filmed Harry Potter. So we had this hangar, and I basically the canvas was on the floor, and we had to drive a Nissan Leaf because it was done with a real car, not RC cars. We had to drive a Nissan Leaf over it to create the image. And just to make it more complicated, the black hangar lighting, if you turned it off, it took like 5-10 minutes to turn back on. So it wasn't just like flick of the switch, because they're like kind of these things that had to warm up. So we had to. It was all done underneath black light, UV light, because the car it had a special bodywork on it, so the car glue, but it had to absorb the UV to glow, whereas fluorescent paint fluoresces under UV.
Yeah.
So you had two slightly different ways how UV light reacted with something. There's a video of it. You can still watch it on YouTube. It's done 5 years ago.
Right.
It's been broken since. The record's been broken by. It was a record that was broken quite a lot until we did it, because we went like
massive.
I think we did ours. Ours was like 50 square meters bigger than the previous, and it was all one canvas as well. It wasn't like lots of panels of canvas. It was like one giant canvas.
How long did it take?
5 days. All these projects I have a set amount of time, because they want to release it at a certain time. And with Guinness, you pay Guinness a lot of money to break that record. So Nissan had to pay Guinness. Then I was commissioned by Nissan and given the rules of what we had to break that record by.
Yeah.
Or how even. That was cool. It was a lot of these kind of projects happen, and post event you go, oh, that was amazing. You forget the stress. You forget how how you felt, or like oh my god, what's going to happen? Like we got the basic outline was printed onto the canvas, because there's no way you could draw freehand. No way. And the company who printed it, I was like, right, yes, all systems go. We want to get it printed. So they printed it, but they printed it on a slightly different material than they tested it on. So when we got it to the hangar, we did the lights, and we're like, all right, cool. Can we see the outline? No. You can see the outline with the lights on. You couldn't see the outline when it was under UV at all. And it was UV. It was a UV paint they'd used. It was just like, oh, man.
What did you do?
Well, it's funny. I remember the PR team from Nissan were like, so what are you doing? And I was like, first of all, I'm just going to go and have a quick phone call with the printers to find out what's gone on. But yeah, no, you got to go, right, when you put in this situation, you go, right, deal with it. What do we do? And crack, and we worked out a solution. You would never know. The main thing is it's always cut time constraints. Yeah. And the same with the Lewis thing in 2008. It was the thing had to be done to a certain time so that Lewis could see the artwork in Brazil at a certain time. I'd got a certain amount done, and it all had to be like done for a certain time. But yeah, sometimes that pressure is great. Hence why I do these drawings in half an hour. Like I give myself half an hour. If you give yourself any longer, you just end up tweaking and
I like it. Right. I like it. Ian, we're 35 minutes in.
Oh no!
It was meant to be a 30-minute gas bag, but it's good because there's lots to talk about. So what we're going to do, I'm going to do some very quick-fire questions. So immediate thought, give me an answer, and then we're then going to go into the final two questions, which we ask on every single podcast. So, what's your favourite car to paint?
I always say the next one. Always.
The biggest piece you've done, we've just confirmed. What's the smallest piece you've ever done?
I've done small, I think the current stuff is pretty small. That's kind of A4 size. That's
I saw on Instagram you've got a pin, a lapel pin.
The lapel pin. Yeah, that was quite cool. Yeah, there's all kinds of little merch and stuff we're looking at the moment. And that's pretty. That's my wedding ring.
Nice.
If you can see that, and that's actually based on the radio control car tyre of that. It's the same tread.
Nice. Nice. So
that's the smallest piece related to my artwork. There
Even your wedding ring is on brand. I like it.
It says on the inside, "I will not tire of you" as well.
Boom. Love it. Love a pun.
Yeah.
What's the toughest thing you've ever painted?
Easy. I went out to Monza and did the Formula One Parc Fermé artwork where they had to paint. They had to drive onto my artwork at the end of the race. That was tough. It was amazing. I can look back at it now as a fond experience that I learnt a lot from, a huge amount from. But yeah, that was unbelievable. That was
why was it so tough though?
So the year I did it, 2017, I think it is the year that it rained, and it rained hard.
Oh, God, right.
It rained consistently from when we arrived, pretty much to the Saturday evening, where we had to lay the artwork, where they were planning to lay the artwork on that evening. And I was like, we had a truck full of wet artwork. That I had no idea what was complete and what wasn't complete. It was it was an amazing experience to work that close, like be part of the F1 circus in Monza in Italy on the 70th anniversary of Ferrari. Was incredible. But at the same time, so much went wrong. so much. Like, who knew that to get a van out of the country on that weekend, that they wanted all the paperwork to know that you own that van. And I was like, kind of just, no, we need to know you're insured, it's yours, etc., etc. I was like, and that was just the first of
invaluable learning though. Right, famous people's cars. Who's the most famous person's car you've done, and what was it?
I painted for the Dubai ruler of Dubai and his sons.
Say that again, because
I painted for the ruler of Dubai, so the king of the kingdom,
The man.
And his sons privately in a 5-star hotel in Dubai. And it wasn't even a car. It wasn't even a car. It was.
What was it?
It was a globe. It was the most bizarre. Like, all the text was in Arabic. I don't know what it said. It was. Yeah, so it was cool. And I had to paint with G-Wagons because he owns a G-Wagon. It had to be a white G-Wagon because that's the one that he owns.
So they flew over to Dubai to a hotel to paint a globe with white G-Wagons.
Yeah, in summary. Like Chris Evans has got one of my artworks. I've painted with Jenson Button. I've painted with Lewis Hamilton.
Nice.
There's been some. And a lot of car collectors aren't necessarily people like publicly. A lot of these guys are private guys who like their cars.
Yeah, got it. Best location you've ever painted?
Dubai was pretty cool. Formula One in Dubai, the first ever Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. That was pretty special. That was cool. Like they flew over loads of people. Like everybody was a Guinness World Record breaker. It was like, oh, what do you do? Oh, well, I can do the most keepy uppies, and I was just like, I paint the cars. I don't know why I'm here, but thanks. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool. And they put us up in an amazing hotel as well. And I painted on the roof terrace of that hotel as well.
Nice.
For a bit, for a short time. You kind of forget. All the stuff, but I think if you go right, this is what I have done. America, I did America as well. Out in the Bellagio Hotel. I did 2 corporate events out there.
Nice.
And
I'm sure when you're a lot older and you've sort of slowed down a bit and you sort of reflect on a couple of decades or a few decades of this, it'll be amazing to reflect and tell the story, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think things like being in Vegas for 2 weeks. Like I was doing an event right at the end of the 2 weeks, and they were like, "How long do you want to be out there for?" And I said, 2 weeks. And so I was able to like do everything, did everything in Vegas. In terms of the Grand Canyon and all of that. It was bizarre to be there for so long, but it was a cool. Yeah. So yeah, America was good.
Right, Ian, we're going to start bringing this to a close because I'm conscious of your time. So we always ask two sort of finishing questions on every single interview, every single podcast that we've done. And I think your episode, I don't know what episode you are, 60, 59 or 60, something like that. Embarrassing story and life lessons. So we always like to get people to share an embarrassing story, hopefully one to do with work, something that you can sort of reflect on and laugh about, and something that we could potentially laugh with you. So there must be something in all of these travels and trips and stuff where you're prepared to share an embarrassing story in.
I looked at that question. I was like, embarrassed. I've just flummoxed. I just can't remember. There is so many things that have happened where you just go, oh man, what? I met right. So weirdly, I met Chesney Hawkes. I was on Daybreak. Daybreak. Chesney Hawkes. Yeah. I always remember this because I was like, why did I say that?
What did you say?
Because the only thing he's known for is singing, the one and only. That's Chesney Hawkes. That's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was starstruck by Chesney Hawkes, and I sat there going, and he kind of looked at me. You're right. I went, yeah. And and I went, oh, I've watched all your shows. And like, what? And then later, it was just like, I just don't understand. I still don't. I did.
There's nothing wrong with liking Chesney Hawkes here. Look, you publicly admitted it. It's fine.
Yeah, but there was that. Oh, yeah, there's been so. That's probably a terrible example, but there's loads of stuff that's happened. Like I say, if I could talk more about if I could let you know more about, I'll let you know more privately about the Ferrari gig, because that was the Ferrari FIA gig was.
Okay. When I hit the stop button in a second on this interview, you can tell me off there.
Yeah, I think
love it. That Chesney Hawkes is definitely going to be in the top set. Right. Very last question. We've got students listening to the show? So, because we're part of the Silverstone Park sort of business and motorsport community, what local technology colleges in Northamptonshire with some of the students listening to this, which is fantastic. So I always like to try and give a bit of life advice from everybody, because we're all a bit older, all a bit grayer. So if you were to take yourself back to a sort of, an 18-year-old Ian Cook, so you're sort of at the cusp of becoming an artiste, what bit of life advice would you give yourself back then?
I think the thing is always you learn something every day. Whatever situation you put in, you're like, it's that kind of fight or flight. And I think what I've learned is that if you aim for the fight first, then it'll work out. Like even now in lockdown, you'll work out a way, particularly if you're creative minded, if you want to go into creative industries and whatever, it's almost like you've got to aim to be kind of big enough to be known for what you do, but small enough to be able to change how you do it if you have to.
Yeah.
And I think that's the key, is not being like the cruise ship that's always on the same route. Like, we're all guilty of it. Like, I was ready to be on the same route of the same shows this season as I did last season, and a few different ones, but yeah. But I think that's the thing, is be willing to change the route that you have planned for whatever reason, whether that's personal reasons or a global pandemic like we're in now. Had I not have gone, right, what can I do to keep myself relevant rather than being offline for X amount of months and then come back going, I'm painting again. People will be like, oh, I've seen the drawing. Oh, I like that. Yeah, so it's kind of that thing of being willing to change and alter
and adapt to the situation that you're presented with, right?
Absolutely. And I think the key thing of that is if you're part of the motorsports car community, it is a community, and you can work together, look after each other, and and help each other when times are tough. Because more than anything, you want to be able to talk to people and go, what do you think to this or what? And this whole book idea is about the community element of what I do. Is I know people because they are part of a team. It's part of that. So if that's an advice thing, I'd say is
it's great. It's really good. And what we're going to do, we'll make sure in the show notes that we leave a number of sort of web links and hyperlinks so people can find obviously your website. They can go to the crowdfunder and obviously all of your social media feeds. I'm definitely going to appoint you to commission you to do my car, which would be great, and I'm more than happy to stick some money in the crowdfunder and also buy the book once it's ready, because I think that'd be a great thing for us to have on our sort of coffee table for our clients when they're sat there waiting to see us, which would be great. Ian Cook, PopBangColour, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Pleasure.
Keep up the good work. I'm watching everything you're doing on Instagram and Facebook. It is amazing. So keep it up. Everybody listening to this, go and find him online. The stuff he's doing is very, very, very special. And I certainly look forward to seeing you at some physical live shows and events in the hopefully the coming months. God willing.
I'll take a photo so that I can post it on my socials as well. There we go. Have a little wave. There we are. Beautiful.
So good. Ian, thanks for being on the show, sir.
No worries, thank you.
The Inside Silverstone podcast is produced by the team at Longhurst for the benefit of those with a passion for all things tech, engineering and innovation. For more information, please visit longhurst.co.uk/Inside Silverstone, whilst also remembering to give us a 5 out of 5 star rating on iTunes. Please note that neither Chris Broome or Longhurst work for Silverstone Park, Silverstone Circuit or Silverstone Technology Cluster.